All right, here we go. Tuesday, 1 o'clock in the sports world. That means PGA Strategy Show presented by PrizePicks here at Stokastic. I'm Ben Rasa. That is Geoff Ulrich. Talked about a lot of crazy stuff, Monday Night Football. There's all sorts of things in the sports world. NBA is getting underway. NHL is underway. I watched the Rangers just absolutely dust the Ducks last night. Things are good in that. Destruction. Scoring is out of control in the NHL. Maybe we'll talk about that. But what we're really here to do is talk CJ Cup and talk about how it feels, and I can't answer this, but you can, to hit a nice little outright last week with Keegan Bradley. You must be feeling pretty good.
Yeah, no, I mean, as I was telling you before, I mean, it was like the most nondescript kind of like, I don't know. I mean, like, sweat/win. I mean, is grab Keegan kind of last minute on Wednesday. I did write him up in the odds shopper, like first round leader bets. And he was, he top 5. So cashed each way there as well. But, I talking with just a couple people about it. And, I brought him up on the show as someone who's just, he had that form. He played well at the Sanderson. He had like 5 top 10s last year. He's just playing well. And it just kind of felt like this field where that event, I mean, I think you just got to mark it down. Like weird stuff's probably going to happen there. It's Japan. You got top players traveling. Like it's just, the whole event just felt like weird. I mean, and it was like, I mean, you had Keegan versus Ricky on Sunday and like, that was the marquee matchup. So
it was really crazy. You mentioned, and it's hard to get a sense of what's going on. I'll tell you, I didn't watch a ton of it. I didn't dig in a ton, but I could tell you this much. Russell Knox did not play well. That guy, no more with him for me. I'm putting him on temporary hiatus.
Okay.
I can't though with him. Everything else, we turn the page, another non-cut. I think for me though, the big difference, not that there was nobody in that field, there were some good players, but we got some big names in this field.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, like it's weird because they changed the schedule. I forgot about this, but they changed the schedule of these two events. Like the Zozo last year came after the CJ Cup. But now this year you have the field flying into the CJ Cup and it's not in Vegas. So it's even a longer trip for the guys coming back from Japan. So keep that in mind. Like this is, I really do think it's an advantage for the players who had rest. I mean, and what did we see at this event last year too? We did see Rory coming off a big rest and actually winning and taking it down. So yeah, it's a bit of a change, but like you said, like we've got a lot of top players and some of them are coming off rest. Some of them actually played last week, but yeah, it's like this is like the main event of the fall swing. It really is. I mean, it's one of the biggest prize purses and it's definitely going to be the most elite field we get. So
it's a fantastic field. I don't have a ton else. I thought that Hovland played well.
Yep.
And these are things that are not unexpected. You saw Neesmith and co. I don't have much else to say about the Zozo.
There was some follow-up from players like Hoagie continues to just, cash. Putnam.
Eden Buckley.
I mean, Putnam is Putnaming, like his putter is just outrageous right now. So, and then our guy Grillo, but like for those like 4 or 5 players, and then Neesmith, like there was, like Sanjay played pretty bad. Tom Kim finally cooled off, which, was, kind of good to see, just so we know that he's human. Hideki stinks still. Mito was just an outright disaster after I thought he was going to win after round 1. But I mean, like jet lag, right? Like you saw Dave, and I made this point on Twitter, like you saw Davis Riley come in. His DFL, he's dead fucking last after 2 rounds. And he shot 67, 68 on the weekend. So clearly like the jet lag was like just the travel with this event was making it weird for some players. So keep that in mind. Yeah.
It's the age old, like we got to take what we see, but I don't want to overreact too much. It's 4 rounds of golf in Japan. Now they come here. We're going to talk about the course. We're going to talk about the format, but of course we're going to talk about PrizePicks as well. You see it sponsoring the show, daily prop-based contests. A ton of you play over there. We play over there. Over under different categories, not just with golf. Golf is awesome. Love golf. Birdies are better. Matchups, they have that all there. They've got it with college football, NFL, NBA, of course. And you can get a $100 first match deposit bonus. You sign up using the link in the description below. It is a great site. Get some exposure over there. Just a new way to play. They're building up quickly, and you're building those little prop parlay style things get up to 10x if you hit that 5 in a row. Really go check it out. PrizePicks.com or download PrizePicks in the App Store or on Google Play. Check it out. Get the $100. See what you think. I know you're going to enjoy it. Congaree.
Quickly about PrizePicks this week, and I'm going to throw this out really quickly.
Yeah,
I'm looking at the fairways. I'm looking at the fairways hit props on the PGA. Congaree's fairways are like they're massive,
huge.
We've got props of like 10.5 for the top players and like 9.5. You're going to want to hammer the over on these. You may want to do it soon. Like they may adjust these. Like these are ridiculously low for Congaree. So I'm just going to point that out quickly. You can do your own research, dive into it, but like I guarantee I will be looking at this right after. So,
and that's the thing, just to put the finishing touch on that. If you are right, naturally the whole field's fairways hit is going to be elevated, and you're parlaying. So you're correlating what you're doing. So it's such an advantage with what you can do over there. It's not like, oh, well, I can do that for one guy and now I got to pick birdies for another. No, just go over on take 3, 4, 5 guys and go over on their fairways and hope that it's very, very generous, as I expect it will be.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm just looking here right now. Rahm, Rory, Scheffler, all with 9.5 over under props for fairways hit. So again, do with that information what you will, but I'll be looking to most likely take some overs there.
Talk to me though about Congaree. So this is interesting that we haven't seen, this is at Shadow Creek. This is at Summit Club, but this was the Palmetto when Higo won's course. So we did see it. It's long, it's a par 71, but what do you make of it given what you've seen?
Yeah. So, and again, like this is a Tom Fazio design course, and this kind of goes to what I'm talking about with the fairways, like what Tom Fazio design courses tend to be like. And we have a few across the PGA. He's done Conway Farms, Caves Valley. He actually designed the Summit Club last year too. So, and his courses tend to be very similar, like big fairways. It's not difficult off the tee, but as you get closer to the green, it becomes more difficult, tough to scramble, usually tougher to hit greens as well. Just tricky green structures. So it just kind of dials up as you get closer to the hole. And you're going to get like a lot of longer approaches here too, but that doesn't mean that shorter hitters can't compete, because people think, oh, it's a long course, so you have to bomb it off the tee, but everyone's going to be able to hit driver here. And unless you're insanely wild off the tee, which most PGA pros aren't, when they have big fairways to hit, like you're going to be out there 300 yards, because the average PGA pro is like a 300-yard driver these days. So like, I mean, you just look at the leaderboard from 2021. You had Doc Redman up there. You had Bo Van Pelt. These guys lost strokes off the tee, but they're still up there. Even Garrick Higo was 32nd in driving distance. So again, this comes back to like my driving accuracy. I mean, the field was like 69% or something, or around that number of driving accuracy at this event. So this is really a course where you're going to get bigger fairways. It reminds me a little bit of Pinehurst -- in terms of setup. It's big, it's open, it's got some natural waste areas, and it's going to be difficult around the greens. Like you're going to have tougher scrambles, some approaches where you're going to have like, even though the greens aren't like massively small, they're just going to be tough to hit in areas. And it's a nice course. I mean, it played to 11 under par at the Palmetto, which I like. I mean, I thought it was going to play a lot easier. I know that year, like I was predicting like a birdie fest, and it didn't. So interesting course, very much all around course. I think scrambling and approach is going to come into a factor. It's really just like a kind of an all around test for me. And I think that it'll kind of almost end up de-emphasizing power, even though how long it is.
That's what we kind of saw. And it's weird. I always, when we see one course, with one iteration, I think too much is drawn from the actual winner. It's like, all right, this guy won, so you just need his exact skill set, which cannot always tell the tale. There's a lot of outliers. And to me, that's the case here with Higo in some regards. I also don't know, like, I don't want to derail the show. We're 11 minutes in? Like, I don't know how good Higo is. I really don't, he comes and he looks great at times. Other times I'm like, this guy is really fortunate that he won on tour, because I'm not sure how long he'll stick around. It's a tough guy to really peg for like, okay, this is what this course needs because he did it. Yeah, no, and absolutely. And like, look, but the thing is,
like you go down the leaderboard there, and you did have some players who were just dominant off the tee. Like Johnny Vegas was, he gained like 7 strokes off the tee that year. But at the same time, like you just had a weird blend of players mix in here. So again, like I'm not suggesting that like you shouldn't play big hitters or like they don't have an advantage because they hit it long. I mean, they have an advantage all the time because they hit it long, as long as they're not, overly inaccurate. Right. So, but at the same time, I think that like if everyone's going to have some kind of mid iron to long iron approaches here as well, because it's a longer course, and everyone's going to be taking driver. Like I think that there's on different courses and tougher setups, there's spots where the shorter hitters may like even just club down just so they can hit the fairways, whereas the longer hitters are going to be doing the bob and gouge. Everyone's just taking driver here. Like it's almost like the advantage is just slimmer. So I think you'll see more players mixed in. And just to your point about the field too, like this is a completely different field than we saw at the Palmetto. So like the Palmetto was basically a 2nd tier event. The top player may have been Harris English that week. And take that for what you will. But we could definitely get a different result, with just, Rory and Rahm or Hovland, just completely bombing the crap out of this course. And maybe they do reach 20 under, but it is a bit of a trickier design. And, I don't know. There's, like you said, there's only so much we can take from one event, and we shouldn't be drawing too many hard conclusions. So
last thing, and we talked a lot about this last week. It is a non-cut. You got a lot of dudes at the bottom who are people we don't see. Are you taking that same mentality? You can be aggressive to an extent, but you don't think you're not just clicking someone at 6K because they get 4 rounds.
I mean, I definitely feel like this week it's more inclined to be like diving deeper, like just for the simple fact that, we have Jon Rahm, McIlroy, and Scheffler and Justin Thomas, and getting exposure to 2 of those players feels pretty good in this event, especially considering, like, again, obviously different venues, but this event and this time of year, it's been the one where the players clearly have it pegged on their card, like, Brooks Koepka, Justin Thomas twice, Rory. We've really only had one outlier winner in like Kokrak, and he was 100-1. And it was it was played at Shadow Creek that year, and it was a little bit of a weird event. But I feel like the top players are going to perform here again. So I think everyone's pushed down because of the top players. So instead of, having 20 guys from the Asian tour at like 67 and down, we have, Trey Mullinax at 6,500. We have Merritt at 64. I just think there's way more play. Willett's in here, who just about won a couple starts ago. I think you can definitely create stars and scrubs, and I'm very much interested in looking down at the bottom of the field this week.
Well, let's start at the top. We got Rory, we got Rahm, we got Scheffler, JT. We'll start with the big 4, north of 10,000. I mean, you can make a case. We haven't seen these guys, but they're elite players. Do you have a feel? Is it always with these guys where it's like, any one of them, if they say this is something that they want to focus on and they bring their A game, they're probably going to win? How do you go about breaking it down?
So, I mean, the default is just like, it's a bit of a crapshoot because you got players coming in off all different kinds of rest. And for me, I mean, I look at setup, but I also look at like, obviously what players are doing this off season. Rory's clearly busy. Rahm just won in Spain, so he's coming in off a bit of a trip too. And then you got Scheffler coming in off rest. Looking at Rahm and Rory, I mean, for me right now, I think Rahm is the play, like between those two if I'm paying up. I mean, you look at the course, the wide open fairways, a little bit tough around the greens. Rory's probably got an edge on Rahm in the short game, but at the same time, like Rahm, to me, this course does speak a little bit like the Mexico Open where he won, where it's easier off the tee, he's able to just bomb it out there and then just get in a groove with his irons. And with Rahm showing confidence, I mean, I feel like he's capable of just coming in here and running the table again. So I lean Jon Rahm this week over Rory. Nothing against Rory, but he's also a little bit cheaper. And he's got the confidence from having played well already this fall. Rory to me is, with Scheffler down there at 10-4, I'm okay fading Rory this week. I mean, I think you have to cross at least one of these 4 players off. To me, it is actually going to be Rory.
Interesting.
I know he's played some in the fall, but I mean, we're just getting such good prices on, like Scheffler and Thomas that I think it's okay. I think it's okay starting your lineups down below him.
Do you anticipate having a Rahm JT combo, something like that, where you say, I'm going to take 2 big time names and then I have plenty of room still?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think you can mix and match. I mean, I think you can mix and match any 4 of these guys. Maybe Rory and Rahm is like getting a little thin, and again, like that kind of comes to my theory. Whereas if you leave Rory out, I mean, you're just leaving yourself more space. So I like Scheffler the most of this group. I know we're going to get to him and we'll talk about like the difference between Thomas and Scheffler, but if you use him, you can use him across the board and then you can mix and match Rahm and Thomas in as you please. If that's one way to go about it. And I think that like the field is deep enough too, where you can even just start with Scheffler and then, start in the 9K range. So for your second guy.
Yeah, I'm not going to push back on anything, and I'm a huge Rory backer, but I'm with you. I think that, he's been. I'm not going to say these guys don't like. If Rory plays well on Thursday, great. Be right in it. It's just he's not going to be too worried. He wants to get some reps. We have not seen him in the fall. I tend to say let other people. We'll see what the projections and the ownership here at Stokastic tell the story. But Rory's going to be popular because he's Rory. People say, oh, Rory's playing. Let me just click his name. I'll probably try to go elsewhere in a weird format, a non-cut. And if he beats me, he beats me. That's always possible. But I have a feeling, not even I have a feeling, I'll be underweight, which is a little scary.
I like Rory at tough driving courses where either the fairways are tough to hit, or it's like tough to hit fairways and it's longer. And this is really neither of those. I mean, I know it's a longer course, but again, like I just think his best club is not really going to give him that big an advantage here. Yeah. So I'm with you.
Do you see, this is just a random question. Do you see any like Aaron Hills in this?
Not really, because Aaron Hills was more of like the lengthy, I guess a little bit, but Aaron
mostly
Hills
off the tee. I'm alluding to where it was just like you could be. It was so long, but you really, unless you hit it so far offline, it didn't really matter.
No, and that's why we had like Brian Harmon almost win that event, right?
Bill
like,
Haas was up there.
Yeah, so I guess in a way, yes. Like I was thinking more visually, but yeah.
No, I more meant just the mindset off the tee. Like I didn't think Aaron Hills suited Rory off the tee.
Yeah, no, and it's the same idea. Yeah, it's absolutely the same idea. I mean, Brooks Koepka obviously won that event, but in a lot of ways, like Brooks won that event like with his putter. Like his win at like whatever it was, Shinnecock was like more of like the prototypical like US Open, Brooks Koepka win where he's just grinding down the field because he's smashing it further and he's just getting an advantage from being able to hit it out of the rough closer to the hole. Whereas, Aaron Hills, it was more of just, he obviously had an advantage with the driver, but he did more things along with it. So again, these guys will have an advantage. It just won't be as big. It won't be as significant. Everyone's going to be in the fairway. And when everyone is in the fairway, like it's just not that big a difference where 5-10 yards for these guys, if they're in the fairway. So, and there's some good long iron players in the field too. So.
Yeah, I'm with you. And certainly we saw, I'm not tying this all to Aaron Hills, but JT had his moments in that spot. But guys like Fitzy, Sanjay, Burns, Hovland, Homa, Morikawa, I mean, these are big time names. Some of them played last week. You mentioned the irons and maybe around the green. Like, I want to start backwards. I want to ask you about Morikawa first, if I can. He's flat 9K. He did play last week. What do you think of the course? What do you think of the situation for him?
I'm okay with it. I mean, it seems dicey, like, but at the same time, we have Colin Morikawa at 9K. Like this is still a course where I think iron play is going to be super essential. And like I said, I mean, Morikawa giving up distance, but what does he do best? He hits his long irons like pretty much better than anyone. So I think that the advantage he gains from that is going to be, quite significant. That was certainly, helped Garrett Cagle that week when the week he won, helped a couple other players like Doc Redman. Morikawa is just like obviously like the Ferrari version of those players. And he hits it a little bit further than probably I'm giving him credit for too. His around the, I mean, like again, this comes down to what we said last week, like his around the green and his putting is what it is. It's either going to show up or it's going to be terrible. But like the rest of his game, I mean, I'm fine with. Like, I think this course should suit him okay. I mean, I don't think it's quite as perfect as what I'd like from last week, because I think the around the green game could be an issue, but he's also 9K. And I'm actually of the opinion that I like going back to him here. I mean, this is just a player where he'll get it together eventually. And the week he does, you're just going to be kicking yourself that you weren't on him. So I have no reason to go off him here. He didn't look super sharp. He did kind of flash up there. I thought he was going to get it going. He was a couple off the lead at one point, but it just didn't happen. But it's Japan. He got to start under his belt. He's the player that I think in the 9K range can have low sentiment, and I'm actually very interested in rostering here.
I like him as well. Going to stick with it. I think it's especially for the elite players. I think getting reps can negate and even enhance some of the travel woes. Like I said this yesterday, he's not flying, some rinky dinky. It's going to be fine. He's a young guy. It's not his fourth straight event, and he's flying all over the world. I like that he played. Sanjay's the one I have trouble with, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
Price is, I think, reasonable. He was fine last week. He wasn't good. He wasn't bad. He's been playing, but he loves to play. I think it's a decent setup for him. I'm a little torn on where do I get, is he my starting guy? Is he my second man in against Rahm or someone like that? It's a weird situation for me.
Yeah, I'm almost prone to just like betting Sung J M and just like, as you said, like maybe just leaving him out of the DFS spot, because like price wise, I mean, this kind of feels like his max in a field like this, right? Like he's above Hovland, he's above Morikawa, he's above Homa. Like we're paying up for Sung J, and it's like, I get it. I mean, he's playing well. He's got the top five from the playoffs. He's played well for a bit, but third week in a row playing. He's flown to and from Japan. Actually, fourth week in a row, I think. He's played the Presidents. I don't know. Anyway, he's played a lot. Cup. Like he's played a lot of golf of late. So, and like, look, like it's Sungjae. He plays all the time. It's, if there's anyone in the field I'm not worried about, it's him. But it does feel like we're buying the top a little bit here. And like for DFS, I'm with you. Like he's just he's in a spot where I just don't really want to go there. I think I'd rather get some money down on him, perhaps as an outright, and just call it a day. And, like put half a unit down pre. If he starts well, maybe he'll just like bite the bullet and take him at like a worse number to fill it out. But I'm okay. Like I just think with Hovland down there at 9,200, who played well last week, and Morikawa, who I just, I can't, I'm not going to get off at 9K. I'm kind of okay just fading him, even though I like you. I mean, it's Bermuda greens. This part of the world, pretty good setup. I mean, you could even stretch it and say like, Tom Fazio designed the PGA National. This is another Fazio design. So perhaps this is going to benefit him from that perspective too. So I don't dislike him. I just kind of dislike his price and where he is really.
I couldn't really disagree on any of it. It does feel a little premium. Now he's got the talent to overcome that, but the opportunity cost is there. Fitzy's playing good golf. Burns is Burns. Hovland was great last week. I like Morikawa the best of the range. Then I'm not exactly sure. I think some of these guys will be ownership dependent, but their skill sets, nothing really jumps off the page. I think, and I always do this, I struggle with, I'm going to put Burns behind the rest. I know I do that a lot, and sometimes it's to my detriment, but I still think that Burns, I have more questions. I don't love the setup for him. Doesn't scream Sam Burns to me. Does it scream Sam Burns?
I'll push back here because
I
think it's a pretty good setup for him. Like he's a little bit wild off the tee, and I think that's going to help him. And again, like, I mean, maybe it's just like Bermuda greens and Sam Burns, and I feel like I have to play Sam Burns, but I feel like this kind of course where, round the green and putting can come into it a little bit more. And it's not just a matter of you have to be a lead off the tee. I kind of like Burns in these setups. I don't mind him this week. I mean, again, like I think that this is a player we're kind of on opposite ends of.
Yes.
And I don't like, he is he's a little bit, he's never going to be at like the Xander or Rory consistency levels for me, but his upside is just like so ridiculous that I think that when you get him at a slightly easier course where you don't have to worry too much about the driver taking you off kilter. And again, you've got the putting upside that could potentially just break through at any moment. I kind of like this one. Like I prefer him for DFS more than Sanjay this week. At the same time, I guess I'm kind of with you in saying like, I don't know if I want to play him over Morikawa and Hovland. Like it's kind of the same argument. So I'm more positive on Burns. I would definitely be more prone to mixing him in than you, but he's not a player I'm going to like stand and say, oh yeah, like you got to play him or this is his event. I just feel like there's a good chance we'll see a Sam Burns pop. And he's cheaper than Sanjay at the very least. So
yeah, listen, there's no discounting. I'm very interested to see where this course fits in. And maybe it's just because I'm box score hunting and like Valspar sticks in my mind, things like that. I'd like to see him tackle this. We'll see. And 4 rounds isn't going to mean anything one way or the other, but it'll be another data point. He's someone just in general that he could go one of 2 ways this year. Like he could have a major and solidify. He could go Scheffler, he could go full Scheffler, or he could go, insert random guy that's won a couple of events and then, Pat Kazire.
Corey Connors. He could go
Corey Connors. Yeah, Corey Connors, man, which is surprising, but
he could go Grilling.
Right. Well, that's a different direction. You don't want to go that direction. We're going to get to the 8K range, but we do have some big time announcements, and I mean that. So it is the start of NBA. People love NBA basketball. It's true. Got a couple games, and it's true. This is what it says, and I actually do believe it. This is the best promo we've run all year. $10 for 10 days of Stokastic Platinum. So it's not even just NBA centric. You sign up with the promo code. Use the promo code Hardwood, all one word. Don't be doing 2 words. Don't be doing anything egregious. Just promo code Hardwood. 10 days of Stokastic Plus for $10. It's on the screen right there. Access to all our tools and data for every sport. So stokastic.com/promos expires 10/25. You see it. I mean, if you've wondered what we have or you're just interested in checking out, why not come in for over a week for $10? If you don't like it, you lost $10 and now it's not for you. I have a feeling you're going to want it. You got every sport in the world going on right now. Literally every sport. Come on in. We'll see you in there. Say what's up once you sign up. Simple as that.
You're going to like it. Trust me, guys.
You will.
Especially
You
with
will
NBA
like
going on.
Like,
we got some dudes who are super sharp at that sport. Trust me. So yeah, it's a great promo. I mean, that's a ridiculous price. And whatever you do not Google that word hardwood, especially if you put a space in between. That could lead to some weird stuff. So
it's a dangerous game we play here. But if you do stokastic.com/promos and use the promo code Hardwood, it will be safe for work. You won't be flagged. You won't have anything egregious happen. You will just save some money, get some really cool tools. Not just here, like I said, NHL is going on. Your boys play tonight. They got the Sabres. Should be a battle.
Over Oilers team total.
Yeah.
We got a 41-year-old in net, Craig Anderson. Yikes.
We'll see. I like the Flames tonight. I think the Flames are going to hang many goals. Anyway, that's a story for another time. 8K range. Tom Kim is he never takes a week off either. Speed, Decky, Kim. I mean, this shows the depth. This is WGC-esque. Like these are real players. Then there's Taylor Montgomery. No offense, just still haven't seen a ton of him, but he's looked good here. Thigala as well. Talk to me about this range.
Yeah, this range is, the 8K range this week it kind of feels like it's just either like a polar opposite. Either you want to play everyone in it or you don't want to play anyone in it. And this week it's definitely leaning towards the latter. I'm not super pumped about anyone here. I think Cam Young you've got to take a look at him just because of the insane birdie rate he brings or can bring. He wasn't great last week though. Is this going to be the spot where he just puts it all together and grabs a win? He has, Cam Young he's so interesting. I mean, I think that like the easier setups will help him, but I don't know if this is like necessarily an easier setup yet. Like we just don't have, it could be like, it certainly wasn't though the first time around. So I think Cam Young is he's very like, he's perplexing to me this week because I wish he'd played a little bit more, but at the same time, I feel like, well, he hasn't played more and now I'm getting a discount and I should be on him. I don't know. Like, is Cam, I also think that Cam Young is a player we could potentially see regression from this year. So I don't have a hard take on him. He is the most interesting player in this range to me. I think that also taking like a stance with Spieth is fine this week. It's a little bit more of an all-around test. Again, he's got decent length off the tee, and his one factor is like he still has trouble hitting fairways. Not going to be an issue this week. Tricky green structures, that's good. You know, like the tee to green game will come in. I don't know exactly where his game is at. I mean, it hasn't been great of late. I know that, but he's 8,800. No one's going to play him because Tom Kim is there. And Cam Young he's sandwiched in between like the two hottest players that for DFS. So I actually don't hate taking a little flyer with Spieth this week. If the course continues to play like it did last time, I think that'll benefit him. And he's a player who can just come in and do good things off a rest. I mean, I think he's experienced enough to do it. So
I want to ask you as we work down a little bit. So I don't think this guy's going to be overly popular. We'll have to see. Really good Bermuda putter. And he has experience here. He was fantastic. He just couldn't putt. He would have won. That's Ty Hatton.
Right.
Do you have any interest in Ty Hatton here at a middling price tag? You know, he's next to Keegan and Cam Young. Again, not on our mind recently. He was non-existent last week, which is fine. What do you make of him?
My only concern with Hatton is just the travel, because he was playing in Scotland the week before. But like you said, I mean, like there's so many players with the same concern that,
yep.
I mean, I think a lot of what I said about Spieth applies to Hatton, like good all around player, veteran player who could just come to this course. And if it plays a little bit tougher, that's going to play into his hands. If this venue does play tough again, I think that Spieth and Hatton are two players who will really benefit in this range. And that's like who I like targeting. I think it will play somewhat similar. Like, I mean, obviously we have an elite field, but you know, this course did give the players some issues. Like there's longer par fours. The shorter par fours are tricky. They're not like simple, like straight up. Like you've got to put it in spots. If you're short side yourself, it's like an impossible up and down from what I remember. I do like Hatton this week for basically the same reasons that I like Spieth. And I'm just not really sold on anyone else. Like, I mean, my lukewarm Cam Young take was what it was. It was lukewarm. I'd just rather pivot to a player like Hatton or Spieth here, where low ownership could be a great setup for them, especially if like with the off the tee stuff. I think just getting de-emphasized and Hatton at least has some form. I mean, he's played over in Europe. He had a couple top tens, and he's certainly popped in more elite fields before. So
Tokyo Swan, friend of the show, just mentioned Shane Lowry. I tend to agree. I think this is an interesting course for him as well. I'm not sure what he's been up to. And maybe it's just like a bias. I feel like he's someone that eases into the season rather than just like comes out ready to play.
He had a big win over in Europe a few weeks ago. Missed the cut at the Alfred Dunhill. I mean, yeah. I mean, I don't disagree about the setup. Like I'm not down on it either. He's got a good all around game. His around the green game's improved a bit, but I'm kind of out on Lowry. I think if you're going to take a shot with a player like him in this range, it should be Hatton, or just look further down.
I'd rather play Hatton too. Yeah,
Billy
I am with you.
I mean, I don't know. You don't need to play Billy.
Billy Horschel. Let's not get crazy. I mean, it's Bermuda. What did you make of? And I don't want to just extract, a couple rounds, but Beagle played very well last week. Really good weekend. He came in fifth. He was 6 at Fortinet. He's hit or miss, as we saw. Like he missed a cut at Sanderson Farms. This is a stronger field, but he's done it in some decent events. I still am kind of trying to figure out who is he in terms of his game, and I don't have the answer to that just yet.
I don't either. Like it's
like what kind of player is he?
I don't know. I mean, he doesn't seem to dominate in any one category, right? Which is really strange. I mean, he gets hot with his irons for a bit, but then, he's also carried by like, some timely putting at points. I don't know either. I mean, I don't have a hard take on him. I mean, for me, I think that asking him to take down this field is probably going to be too much. Well, Is it though? Because I mean, like we're in the fall swing. I mean, at this event last year, like we had, a new venue and Ricky Fowler almost won. I mean, like, so I guess I'm going to take that back. I mean, I think that this is a player who, I had pegged from the start for a fall event win. So even though he's hard to peg down from a setup standpoint, I mean, I think just staying on Thigala is still fine. Like I really do. And he kind of proved that point last week that you just shouldn't forget about this player or just like ever really write him off. And maybe that's just the thing. Like maybe he kind of reminds me a little bit of Sam Burns to the point where, he can kind of just pop with a certain part of his game. But I don't know about this week.
I don't really either, but I will say I don't think it's far-fetched to think that Thigala can win if I do think guys like McNeely or Wise or those type of players can win. Thigala can get it done in this field. I'm not saying he's going to. I'm not specifically drawn to him, but I'm trying to catch myself and say that he's not overmatched here by any stretch of the imagination.
Agree 100%. I think that's what it comes down to. I mean, we're always trying to find like the perfect spot for him, but it probably just doesn't exist. He's just going to pop. I still think that if we do see it the fall, it'll come like later on, like, Houston or something like that, but it could be this week. He's going to have the same disadvantage flying over that a lot of the other players had, but so what? He's young. Half the field's got the same thing going on.
What about Maverick?
So I come back to my point. Like Maverick's playing well. He's playing better. I mean, this is again, like I think it's actually a pretty good setup for Maverick McNeely.
So do I.
So I guess that makes it interesting. I just don't put him in the same class as like Thigala. I don't put him in the same class as Wise. So I look at him in this range and I have a hard time clicking on him, but I do recognize, like, I think this is a good setup for him. I mean, he's long off the tee, but he's not dominant off the tee. Like he's not long and straight. He can get a little bit wild. And I just don't think that's going to hurt him here, but you can fire up the putter here a bit. And if he does that, like, without losing as many, he'll just find more fairways here. So he's gonna be in less trouble. I don't mind it. I really don't mind the spot. I'm more prone to going down to Aaron Wise though. I mean, yes. I really like Wise this week. We talked about Thigala. You mentioned him in the same breath. I think is a great spot for Aaron Wise. I'm surprised he's not projecting with a little bit more ownership over on Stokastic. He's still under 15% there. He's popular, but he's not overly popular. And I think part of the reason is you got Grillo, you've got McNeely above him, both guys playing well. I'm just dipping down to Wise. If McNeely somehow does it, that's fine. I can live with that. Just a player who I still think is just a tad bit overrated. But although I do recognize like he's playing pretty good golf right now.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's an easy sell on Aaron Wise. He's a good player. He's got experience. It's a good course for him. Everything checks out there. So now we get into guys that maybe, I'm not gonna say they're playing over their head, but like Tom Hoagie's playing amazing. Do we just say we need to put him in the pool until something changes? Or do we say, come on now, like it's getting to be too much?
For Hoagie? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's playing unbelievable every week, and it just seems like you'd almost be stupid not to continue to click his name in the mid sevens.
This has kind of been Hoagie's MO too. Like he gets in these grooves where he's just like super confident and then he just like screws off
and disappears for months.
Like months. Yeah. Months. I mean, and you just worry, like, when is it going to come to an end? I worry a little bit that it will be this week. He's played a lot. It's a different field. I mean, I know it was a no cut last week, but like, this is like the big boys are here. I'm gonna make a call and say like we get a little bit of Tom Hoagie regression finally this week. I mean, I think it will go either way. Like he'll like literally contend and be like T2 or win, or it'll just be like, okay, like I played well like 4 weeks in a row. Rom is leading. We're just gonna pull the shoot here for a week, and you end up with a T40. So I'm not sure if this is the greatest course for Hoagie either. Like I think typically you'd want him on a course like Narashino, smaller greens, tighter, where the ball striking is just going to come through. This is a little bit more of an all-round. You're going to have to rely on your short game a bit. So yeah, I'm going to say this is a good fade. Again, maybe it just comes back to me wanting to play Aaron Wise and my boy Jason Day down there.
Oh God. Yeah. I wanted to ask you.
But no, I'm going to fade Hoagie this week. I think that, at some point we got to take a stance on someone. I'm going to say that with Hoagie.
All right, so I'm going to group some of these guys in, and you can sort through them. Fleetwood, Noren, Day. We'll start with just those three.
Okay.
Guys I can't get right. I bet Fleetwood again. I know it's throwing money away, but 66-1, he's not doing anything. But man, I do like that price.
You mentioned Aaron Hills.
I did comp that. I mean, obviously, it's not like I thought of that on the fly. I was thinking about that before the show. I think there's something there. Specifically, I'm talking about with one club, but to me, that's the prerequisite for being able to see who might have insight into Congaree. Obviously, I need my guy to putt well. Well, that doesn't mean anything. We all need that. Yep. I think that this could set up well for some of these guys, but you're going back to Day, I assume, correct?
I mean, I like all three of these guys are interesting to me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, again, like they've got good odds with them. They're lower down in the salary for DFS. No one's going to play them. Like even Jason Day, really not popping with much ownership on Stokastic, coming off a 63, just immaculate round at the Shriners, where he gained 9 strokes ball striking for the week and actually like lost strokes putting, I think. And like, that is the worry with Day, like, is the rest of his game to the point? I think it sounds so disgusting. I think Jason Day has the best floor of these three right now. I mean, but it's crazy. I think he's figured out his swing. I really do. And I think you're going to see like just more consistent ball striking. I'm very interested though in Fleetwood and Noren for a lot of the reasons you just mentioned. These guys are making cuts. They're just hanging around, and like both of them can putt. Like both of them can just show up with the putter any week and just get hot and get confident. And all of a sudden, like we've got a 14 under winner, and Tommy Fleetwood's there because he's been grinding around the greens. His approach game has been good enough. And, he just sinks a couple putts on Sunday and he wins. I think the same goes with Noren. So I'm going to rank them Day, Fleetwood, Noren, but I almost like the upside with like Fleetwood a little bit more here. I know it sounds crazy because like he hasn't done that much, but he's been very consistent. Like we don't have to go too far back to have Tommy Fleetwood like top 5 at the PGA. Like he's played well for a bit. It's just been like a little bit up and down, and he's just going through like a little bit downswing where it hasn't come all together. But he's out there, like he's not making a fool of himself or something. There's nothing specifically wrong. It's just he's been a little bit cold. He just hasn't done too much. It could easily come together this week. I don't even mind the outright call. I mean, I haven't bet Jason Day or Fleetwood or Noren, but I'm definitely going to bet at least one of these guys, and maybe even two. So,
yeah, we're in the same. I would rank them if I had to rank them. It would be Fleetwood, Day, and then Noren. I really like Fleetwood this week. And maybe this is a hot take, maybe it's not. I like all three of these guys over Andrew Putnam.
Oh, that's easy. I mean, like Andrew Putnam is he's gained like 2 strokes putting in like 9 straight events.
I know, but he's playing really good golf.
He is.
I do think people are going to keep going there. I'm not.
Well, actually, and here's the thing about Putnam. I don't mind this course for him that much either.
Now it starts. This is how it starts.
I know. I'm going to stick with my call and agree with you. But I'm just going to say, if Andrew Putnam does it again this week, I'm not going to be overly shocked. At the same time,
I won't be shocked. I'll be disturbed though.
Disturbed.
Like, come on. Listen, this is a good player, but at some point when you're relying these results, this is all I'll say. His ball, nothing has happened in his game. It's not like he's changed anything. He's just putting at such an insane clip that he's playing well. Like, it's not like, oh, Andrew Putnam fixed his off the tee game and now he's like a complete player. He's doing what he always did, except he gains 4 or 5 strokes putting every week.
I mean, that's what like half the PGA Tour is, right? Like players who stick around, like Putnam's and Troy Merritt's like this too. They stick around because they're not overly good at anything, but they're not terrible. And, like they'll just be neutral, we could say. Like they're just good enough off the tee. Maybe they gain a half a stroke on approach. And then when the rest of their game pops and they start sinking putts, they go from like just average to like, semi Superman in like these non-elite field events. This is more of an elite field though. And, if Putnam is ever going to break down, it's kind of like the Hoagie argument, but with his but we're talking about someone's putter. Like it's probably going to be here where he missed a couple putts early. It's a no cut event and he just kind of screws off. I'm okay with it. If Putnam beats me, it's just one of those things this week. Like whatever, it's gonna come to a halt at some point soon.
Are you going to play Ricky?
No.
Okay. Yeah, me neither. When we look down into the lower sevens, Keith Mitchell is a name I want to ask you about specifically. Yeah. You got Bez down here. Henley's down here. I mean, Denny McCarthy, who's like the original of that formula. I want to ask you about Sung Young Kim, who I don't know really much about, but every time he strikes the ball, it's just straight gold right now, 4th at Shriners. What do you make of the lower sevens?
Yeah, Kim is interesting. I think this is going to be a really interesting test for him this week. I mean, if he pops up this week, I mean, like I'm gonna start betting him. Like basically, at the same time, I don't necessarily feel the need to go to him here, but we're gonna definitely keep an eye on him. I like Kitayama at 7,100 as well. I think that where did we see him pop up? Popped up at the Honda Fazio Design, Mexico Open, big fairways there as well. He's wild off the tee. It's not going to matter much this week. And he's just a good player. I mean, he reminds me a little bit of Higo, where he'll just be good enough at everything. He can just do everything. He'll get confident with the putter and he'll start singing putts down the stretch. And all of a sudden Kitayama will just be like, gain a couple strokes approach, gain a couple strokes around the green, and he'll be there at the end. I think this is a really good spot for him. So I'd be more prone to go into Kitayama than Kim this week, for the simple fact I think Kitayama is also not going to be as I don't think the field's going to affect him. I mean, he's played in plenty of different fields around the world. We've seen him be extremely confident against top players. He just about took down Rahm in Mexico. He's just a very greedy player. I mean, you bring out the G word here on a Tuesday. Mitchell's fine. I think I like the setup for him. I really do. I'm not like super high on him or anything like that, but for DFS 7,200, yeah, absolutely. I think he's probably got a better floor than some of the guys above him, to be honest. Like, I mean, Henley is a guy I've bet. I mean, just to throw that out there, he's 7,300. He's still first in strokes gain approach over the last 50 rounds. And I think when you're looking at this course, you think about Henley, you think about easier courses, but this is easy this is easy in the respect that I think you want easy for Russell Henley. You don't necessarily want him where the bombers have the big advantage. Yes, he's not going to hit it like that far, but he's going to be in the fairway and he's going to be able to just lean on his long irons and his around the green game, which is easily the best part of his game. And I really do think this could be a good spot for him. If this course plays a little bit tougher and the iron game just really is what ends up coming through, I think this could actually be it. Like, I think he's a very good bet this week, to be honest. And, like for DFS, again, I come back, guys, like the Stokastic projections, if you're getting this platinum hardwood promotion, Henley's projecting with no ownership this week, which I find very interesting, considering he was about 22-1 the last time we saw him at the Sanderson.
No, listen, Henley's got an out. There's no doubt about it with his irons. In the same vein, definitely more aggressive. I'm going to give you a sleeper as we work down, and then we'll get egregious and get out of here. I think there are scenarios where Sebastian Munoz likes this course. He got some reps in at Zozo. He can get crazy hot on the greens, particularly Bermuda. I think his long irons could hold up here nicely. And he's popped, when you look at his finishes, one thing, there are some easy tracks in there. It's kind of a mixed bag, but he's popped up in some big events as well. He's got some experience against the big boys, and you're not asking him to win. I think Munoz is really under the radar here as an aggressive tournament play.
I mean, just about won the gold medal. I mean, he was at least in the mix for a medal, right? I mean, into the Olympics. Absolutely. His only win came not that far from here, same part of the country, Bermuda Greens. I don't hate that call at all. I think you look down here, people probably go back to Straka, another player who, just can come and go at a whim that I don't really feel comfortable going back to. Like I said, I mean, Mitchell's fine, but I like the ceilings for Henley and Munoz better here. I never play Scott Stallings.
No.
Kitayama I like, but like everyone else here down here kind of just meh to me. I like it. I definitely like that call.
And it's, again, this is something that we've seen some of these guys get into these zones. And I think Munoz and even Henley, I mean, Henley, that was a double eagle, but like at the Players, like Munoz was right in it, and then all hell broke loose on Monday, I think, but that's neither here nor there. All right. Your boy Davis Riley is at $6,900. He's with the cheapies this week. We're going to talk about him, but I do have one more announcement. It's on the betting side of things. $200 in your account at BetMGM, a no-brainer. And what is a no-brainer offer? It's not like the boosts where sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. A no-brainer offer means they're giving you the money. So it's in the link in the description. What this is, if you don't have an account on BetMGM, you're in a legal betting state, you're looking to sign up, take $10 and bet it on a money line in the NBA. If any team hits a 3-pointer, which is 100%, they give you $200 in the account. It's as simple as that. You could take that money and bet PGA. You could bet NHL. You could bet more NBA. You could do whatever you want with it. It's just as simple as that. If you're looking to get some extra money to bet with, go sign up at BetMGM, bet an NBA money line, and get your $200. That's all. Now, Davis Riley, 6,900. Look good on the weekend. I saw your tweet. You look good on the weekend. Is that a catalyst to buy here?
I mean,
you always buy.
I got to this week. I mean, I just have to. What have we seen from Riley? Like he's not intimidated by tougher fields. He took on, big guys at the Valspar, top 10 at the US Open or whatever he was. I mean, he was up there. I think it was the US Open. It's US Open and the PGA. I mean, he played extremely well in those fields. And he's in his part of the world that he likes. Probably the worst part of his game is just like keeping it straight off the tee. And again, like it's not going to matter. Pretty good with his long irons. Like he's top 25 in proximity from 175, 200 yards. He's just got that all around game where it could just pop. Like his around the green game could pop this week. The putter could pop this week. The irons could pop. And I think that the course is well suited to an all around player who has the ability to do that. So I like it. I do. I mean, he's going to be a really hard player to peg down, I think, for his whole career, but this is just a player I'm expecting to win multiple times eventually, probably over the next couple of years. And I'm not going to not use him at 6,900 and at 100-1 or bigger in the betting market. We got to go here. I actually feel good about it. I do. And I know it's weird considering he finished 67th last week, but like you said, he was one worse than Keegan on the weekend in Japan. Maybe not a bad indicator.
No, not at all. And the talent's there. There are some names down here. Harris English is a name I've seen more than once. It pains me, but I get it. I totally get it. It's not going to put maximum pressure on off the tee. If you told me you didn't have to, if off the tee was not a thing and you just started, Harris English would be elite. The rest of his game is always in good shape.
And look, just a quick note on English. Like he was in the lead at this event with about 12 holes to go. And he just self-destructed. Like he started he missed a couple short putts and just went loco. I was on him that week, so I remember it very vividly. But he should have won. I mean, he was he was one of the top players in the field, but he had a really good number, which is why I bet him. But he was here, he was in the mix. So it's a good setup, as Ben alluded to. I don't know if he's Harris English. So I mean,
yes,
whatever.
In that same vein. Now I'm talking about, I want to be clear. These are potential flyers where no one's going to play them. Lucas Glover, in theory, can lean on his irons, particularly his long irons. It's that part of the world. He's been playing non-existent golf in more ways than one. Benny On is here. And then I want to ask you, do you think it's weird to see Woodland at 6,400, or is that just the reality that we're at?
Yeah, Woodland is just he's out of control. He pot it feels like a month ago that he almost won at Bay Hill. He had he was basically in the lead with 2 shots to go or 2 holes to go, and then he just flubbed it out of the bunker. But since then he's been pretty bad. He really hasn't competed since then. So no, this is probably the correct price adjustment. If you said, well, I want to take a chance here now that he's 6,400. You're probably correct to do so. I mean, he's still Gary Woodland, major winner. I do think that he's probably going to pop up again and frustrate us to hell and finish T5 at some point. It could be this week, but he's extremely volatile. I mean, I think that you're actually, sadly as it sounds, you're getting a better floor with Benny Ann at 6,500, who around the green game looks confident again. I mean, Benny Ann at one point was like the best around the green player on the PGA Tour. People forget. And if his irons start to show up again, I mean, like he's done well in this part of the world too. He almost won the Sandersons. He almost won the Honda, like Bermuda greens. I think Benny Ann is actually probably the strongest play down here, but Woodland is Woodland. I mean, I understand like he could do it too. I mean, if the tee to green shows up and that gets confident again, but I just don't know what's going on with him. I mean, it's such a weird stretch from a player who used to be so reliable that he just can't figure out how to put it all together. He's like Ricky Fowler has masked the Gary Woodland like meltdown. Like it's really weird. No one talks about it, but like he's just a shell of his former self as well. So
it is strange. And yeah, that's the thing. Just to like typically when you have a guy who's an awful putter, they're usually bad around the green. But Benny Ann was always an elite around the green player and just a horrible putter, like, which is weird. That's why his scrambling numbers, it's like, oh, they're terrible. His around the green numbers are amazing though, because like the scramble, you have to make the putt. I get it. I'm fine with those guys. I want to ask you. We only got a couple minutes left, but do you see the need? Do you feel the need to click? Ches is flat 6. Now he's been playing like garbage. But it is a player with a lot of pedigree. Do you say that's just unnecessary? Or are you saying, you know what, like I could get, you know, Rahm, JT, and Hovland or something, an elite combination up top?
I mean, it's a note. Like, again, I think you have to look to last week a little bit to get your answer. And I think the answer is, yeah, like it's a bit of an overreaction. I mean, what did we see last week? I mean, we saw some top players fall like way off. We saw some names up in the top 20 who just like, you know, were pretty random. So Ches played last week. He was T45. I mean, he's better than, you know, beat Tommy Fleetwood, like he beat Davis Riley. I mean, there's no reason why he can't come in here and just, you know, put together like a couple more good rounds and finish T20 or something. Like you said, the pedigree is there. At some point, Ches is probably going to get it together. And when he does, like he's going to be this cheap and people are like, oh yeah, why didn't we play Ches? You know, he's like a multi-time winner. I mean, like you, and again, like John Hood last week, was it last week or the week before? I can't remember, but like, oh yeah, he popped with a 61 last week. So I feel like Ches like eventually will do something similar. And Danny Willett down here as well, just about won a couple weeks. Like maybe this is Ches's turn. At the very least, I think these players down here, like Glover, you already mentioned, Willett, and Ches are all playable. I mean, it's a no-cut event. It's the fall. I don't really have a lean towards like one. I think I'd probably be with you. And like, I think Glover is probably the most likely like to get you like a T30 or better. I like the way Willett's played of late, just from like, you know, being a little bit more consistent and then obviously popping. But Ches is the cheapest too. And if it works, I think you can just throw him in. Like, I think it's very playable down here. And again, it's a much different field than we saw last week. And I don't have anything to add about any of the Korean players, like nothing. I literally have nothing. So
don't do that again.
BioKim's in the field. I mean,
good old BioKim.
Yeah.
Friend of the show, BioKim, my man. On that note, friends, we got a lot here at Stokastic. We got NHL. I believe it's starting like right now. That's why I have to go. NBA, Live Before Lock Strategy Show, all things. And then on the Odd Shopper channel, if you were betting things, go to Odd Shopper, YouTube, subscribe, hang out with us. Great crew there at the Fantasy Grind, Mr. Ulrich, at JazzRaz DFS for myself. My man Tyler behind the glass, as always, third member of this team. We're going to bounce on out of here. Good luck. Enjoy the CJ Cup. If you have any questions, hit us up in Twitter, Discord, sign up for the Hardwood promo and everything I said. Until next time, friends, win some money, and we'll talk to you guys next week.